Welcome to the 30 and Nerdy Podcast, brought to you by Advertising Expressions, Creative Theater, Akita Express, and Encore Theatrical Company. Visit us online at 30andnerdypodcast.com. Drop us an email at 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Become a patron of the show at patreon.com/30nerdypodcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the show. And now, sit back, relax, and get ready to nerd out with your hosts, Josh Davis and Tyler McDaniel.
What's up, nerds and nerdettes? This is the podcast where everyone knows your name.
Cheers to ya.
Cheers to ya.
I'm Josh.
And I'm Tyler, and this is 30 and Nerdy. And we are coming at you from the Fortress of Nerditude with yours truly, the registered nerd practitioner, the founder of Nerdledge, the Mac. And it's always great to be joined by my co-host, the juicy one, the nerdtorious JLD, the PhD of Nerdology, Dr. Davis himself. What's up, Doc?
Woo!
Woo! Woo! Woo!
Feeling like $1,000,000, man. How are you doing?
Oh, good. I'm good. You know, busy weekend, busy week already, and it's barely started.
Me too.
But we normally record on a Sunday, but we wanted to push it to Tuesday because last night we went to Raw.
Yeah.
Monday Night Raw right here in Knoxville, Tennessee. Woo! And it was fun. We went with my older brother Christopher. Had a lot of good times, the three of us, and when WWE comes this close to us, you know, you can't say no.
Pretty much, yeah. And I haven't been following the product as closely for the past, year or so.
Yeah, I mean,
but
there's the big pay-per-views.
Yeah.
And all that we always catch up on, and then we're like, well, you can go a couple months before the next one, and they'll catch you up.
Yeah.
Because they make the greatest story montage packages ever.
That's true.
It catches you up, and you're just like, I haven't missed a beat now.
But either way, when they come to town,
you go.
We go, because it's just so much fun. It's such a fun experience. The atmosphere's, a lot of fun. The music and the lights and the big characters and everything. So much fun.
Our friend David texted me today saying that he saw that I went to wrestling.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah. And he said, I think I'd rather watch Glow on Netflix. And I was like, okay.
Glow is pretty
it's
good. It's
really the only redneck thing we do. But if you look at it, the way I look at it, it's Broadway for athletes. It's a show. It's theater.
It is theater.
So,
but because of the fact that wrestling does carry that connotation, it's a southern redneck thing and all that, that's why Vince McMahon bans the word wrestling on the show. They don't say wrestlers, they say sports entertainment because it sounds more dignified and it has a better connotation to it. So that's why he has that that rule.
But it's always great to get to enjoy that stuff with you. We saw a great show. Even Mayor Kane. Mayor Glenn Jacobs, Knoxville's mayor now. Kane.
All hail
Devil's
the
favorite
mayor.
demon. I mean, did you ever think
big mayor machine?
The big mayor machine. And he won the 24/7 title for 10 minutes until Truth got
He won
it back.
it in Neyland Stadium.
In Neyland Stadium as Mayor Jacobs.
Yeah.
Not as Kane. He won it, and it was really cool. It was really also cool to see the stuff they did with their university football team.
And Tennessee didn't get made fun of at all,
which
that
is great.
I noticed.
I wonder if Kane was like, take it easy, okay?
No, he has pride in his balls.
Yeah, absolutely.
Somebody has to.
Somebody has to. But we had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was cool. It was cool. And if you're listening for the first time, We are on Spotify and iTunes and Google Play and wherever you cast your pod, your favorite place to listen to podcasts out there in podcast land. You can also check out our YouTube channel where every week we upload what we have already done. We also do some bonus stuff on our YouTube channel and follow-up Fridays here and there. Speaking of, we did get to talk on the phone with Shannon Ray of Marble City Comic Con again. Dropped some crazy knowledge on us, some surprise stuff that maybe you all don't know yet, especially if you've been too busy to look on Facebook, which is very rare these days because everyone's on Facebook. Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes, you know them as Jay and Silent Bob, from the View Askewverse, as I like to call it. They will be at Marble City Comic Con.
Yeah, and they're going to host a special showing of Kevin Smith's new movie, Jay and Silent Bob Reboot. And it's basically, in the story, from what I understand, Jay and Silent Bob are going to shut down, or trying to prevent, a reboot of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Yes, of Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
Something like
their
that.
Bluntman and Chronic characters.
Yeah, something like
that. So basically it's a sequel to Strikes Back, but it's a reboot.
Yeah.
And it's and you can tell that it's Kevin making fun of reboots of superhero universes. So
Kevin Smith is one of my favorite people. So
we're obsessed with his podcast, Fat Man Beyond.
I'm going to get him to sign. I have. He wrote an issue of Daredevil.
Yeah,
or not an issue. It was like a whole volume.
He did a stint in Green Arrow too. That's really good.
He's done a lot of stuff. But I've got a copy of that Daredevil book, and I'm gonna get him to sign that. And if I can get my hands on one of those Kevin Smith pops.
Oh gosh,
there's a couple different versions.
I bet Tall Man sold out now since the Tall Man Toys and Comics.
Yeah, I bet they could probably hook me up with one though.
I need to give him a call.
Put in a call.
Yeah, we got guys. Okay?
Yeah, we got
pops guys.
We can pull some strings.
We can pull some strings. If you are listening to us again, thank you. Your subscriptions, your listens, it's fantastic. It just keeps the Nerdledge growing and growing. And if you're a Patreon supporter, thank you very much. Got a new Patreon supporter this past week. Johnny Has the Keys. Nice. Our dear friends David and Tim became Patreon supporters. So likewise, we too became Patreon supporters of them.
Oh, great.
And that's what it's about, groups helping one another, friends helping one another, and fellow podcasters helping one another. And Patreon supporters get special behind-the-scenes views of our seasons early, gifts from time to time, some random knowledge that in the future may help them with a trivia question. And we're constantly holding contests, so if you're not a Patreon supporter, please take the time to look at our site, give a listen to us. Even if it's $2 a month, your help, it helps us grow as nerds. It helps us make a better show, to be honest. And it's just good to know that fellow nerds are supporting us.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And last week's episode, we nerded out in the 90s. That
so
was
much
fun.
So
much
much
a lot of fun. And, you could do a whole season on the 90s. Like,
probably,
you could do an episode each week on the 90s and just pick something that you nerded about and break it down.
Yeah.
But we did not have time to do that. We have a tenuous schedule. I mean, we've got, big suits calling the shots over here, and we've got a schedule to get to. So maybe next year, we'll get to some more 90s stuff.
Nerding in the 90s, too?
Yeah.
Nerding in the 90s.
Revenge of the Nerds. Nerding in the 90s.
Part 2.
Strikes Back. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The Ooze.
Oh, I think you killed it on that one.
Killed it.
That was the end of it right there.
That's cool.
Give
Give it a few weeks. We'll come up with a name. I'm the name guy here, so. And this week, the Doc is very excited.
Oh, man.
Aren't you?
But you are now, too.
I'm very excited now. Because, for weeks now, Dr. Davis has been talking about The Boys. And it's time. Everyone needs to watch it, and everyone needs to watch it. And I was like, you know what? Closer to the episode, I'll binge it. And I have literally found myself when watching through an episode going, dadgummit, I'm going to start all over because I love it so much and I want to pick apart details. And, I've literally had to watch some episodes twice just to do the notes because I was locked in. Mm-hmm. And just on the edge of my seat, like, oh my gosh. You. And I think I was watching the episode where, the 7th episode, I've got notes in front of me. I mean, come on.
It's the episode before the finale.
Yes, the Self-Preservation Society.
Oh.
I ended up not taking notes the first time through because I was just, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? What's happening? And I had to go back and watch it again just to take notes.
Yep.
It's that good, people. So when the doc prescribes you a show to, take a dose of it.
You got a fever.
Yes.
And the only prescription is more The Boys.
The Boys, yes. When he prescribes you a show, you take two, then call him in the morning, and you will not regret it. You will be very happy.
Take 8 because there's 8 episodes.
There is 8 episodes. I meant watch it twice.
Take the whole pack.
You won't. This is a good OD to be a part of. The Boys, and we were very excited to get started on this, but we've got business to take care of. We will get to The Boys and some of the rest of the show after a word from our sponsor.
Okay, so I got to tell you what I did this weekend. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Emma and I went to see Madagascar Jr., presented by Encore Theatrical Company, one of our fine sponsors here on the program. Mm-hmm. I got to tell you, guys, this show was great. This is the first time Emma, my 2-year-old, she just turned 2 this past Saturday. This is the first time we've ever tried to take her to a performance or anything like that. And I was really worried because she's kind of like her daddy in the sense that her attention span is not, the best.
Like a peanut.
Yeah. So I was really nervous that she'd want to get down and run around and all that, and I'd have to take her out. No. Look, her eyes were glued to the stage. This was an hour-long show. Her eyes were totally glued to the stage. She didn't talk. She didn't do anything except watch the show. And sometimes when they were dancing, there's this thing where they do, I like to move it, and all that. If you've seen the movie, you know, right?
Yeah.
So Emma started kind of waving her arms a little bit, getting into it then. But that was it. So she was totally entranced with this show. And so was I. The music was great. The lights and the set and all of that stuff, the energy that these kids in the cast had, man, it was just phenomenal. And you guys out there, you've got to see what the hype is all about. Next time there's an encore show, they're going to have the Rocky Horror Show coming up in October.
October 18th and 19th. It's a double feature night, so 2 on one day and 2 on the other.
My fine co-host here is a big part of that show. Mm-hmm. We also have Oliver coming up.
November.
Late November.
Weekend is when it opens up.
So lots of great stuff going on with Encore. It's the place to be. And for more information about Encore, hit etcplays.org. And it'll tell you everything you need to know.
Hey, all you nerds out there in Nerdland, this is David.
And this is Tim.
And we're from Johnny Has the Keys podcast, a podcast where horror and sci-fi shape our lives.
You're listening to Josh and Tyler of the 30 and Nerdy podcast, where they discuss, debate, and break it down with nerd culture and the nerds that reside there. If you like listening to these guys, consider coming over to the dark side with us on your favorite podcast platform of choice.
Cheers to you, nerds, and don't forget your keys.
All right, nerds and nerdettes, it is time for me to talk nerdy to you.
Oh, yeah.
Since we are talking about The Boys and the superhero world like you have never seen it before, I went through some different superhero lore and found some nerdy slang terms for superheroes.
Ooh.
There are 4 big ones. One comes from the DC universe, where they're called metas. Like The Flash and Superman and Wonder Woman, Martian Manhunter, they are considered metas because they are meta-human. Mm-hmm. They're above human. Even though, Superman is Kryptonian, he is an alien. They still call him meta-human.
I mean, he looks like a human.
He looks like a human, but is far superior in speed, strength, and he can fly. And, of course, we're going to be talking about The Boys, what they call superheroes in their world, especially Butcher says it constantly, and it's soups. Mm-hmm. S-U-P-E-S, soups.
And it's not like, didn't your mama tell you to eat your chunky soups?
Chunky soup. And this was The Boys was also a comic of the same name from Wildstorm and Dynamite Comics, which is now a
DC affiliate.
It's a different, and until the New 52 Rebirth, they were a separate universe. But this newest 52 Rebirth brought them all together. So there's actually a comic book out there where I think the Wildcats and Gen Team meet Superman and Batman. It's a whole massive thing.
I'll take your word.
Yeah,
for it.
we don't. It's honestly you could read for hours on the red tape behind comic books and stuff. So soups, you'll hear us say that a lot in this episode. So we went ahead and educated you on that. Number 3, the Marvel term for superhero is enhanced or mutant. Enhanced was made popular in the MCU because they could not say mutants because of Fox. And in the X-Men universe, muties, mutants, blah, blah, blah. But enhanced is used to, like, the Maximoffs. They even consider Captain America enhanced.
Well,
the Hulk is an enhanced. It was really made popular by, who's the general from the Hulk? Turns into the Red Hulk.
Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah. He calls them enhanced constantly in Civil War. The 4th term and the final term comes from a popular novel that I'm shocked you have not read, and I've read it. It's called Worm.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
It's by John C. McCrae, and basically the premise is a girl who is bullied wakes up one day with super abilities.
Yeah.
And meets
Take that, bullies.
other people in the universe with superpowers. And the government calls them parahumans.
Did she go all carry on the bullies?
She has to be guided to the right direction.
Oh, okay.
Which, I mean, in real life, if you were to wake up with superhuman strength or something, would you not be like, how can I use this? You,
most definitely.
TK, who ruined Dumbledore's death for me.
Never.
Throw his car like in Shazam.
It's like, yeah, Dumbledore died. Yeah, well, I heard your car died.
So those are 4 nerdy superhero slang terms. Metas, soups, enhanced, and parahuman. And since I'm done talking nerdy to you, why don't we get to your favorite segment called What You Watchin'? So, I know this is kind of a stupid question, but what you watching?
So it's real simple.
Okay.
The Boys.
Yes.
The Boys.
For the boys.
Okay, so this is kind of a cop-out, I know that. But I'm telling you, if you haven't seen The Boys, this is the thing to see. You know, I cannot recommend anything else more highly than The Boys.
I ever recommended a show to me with the passion that you have recommended The Boys.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I've been pretty enthusiastic about it.
Yes, and it paid off. Like, there's not once where I've been like, dadgummit, Josh, you gave me a dud.
I have good taste.
You do. I definitely am a, what is it they say in How I Met Your Mother? I'm a stamp. I stamp very easily, and I recommend very easily. Like, I'm just like, oh, yeah, Josh, you'd love it. You'd love it. Check it out.
That's true.
That's
true.
That's true. No, Tyler, I don't. I'm not binging this.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Now I got another show for you. Okay, I'm not into this. But when you recommend something, I know it's good because you don't just willy-nilly water it down. You take the time to be like, nope, not recommending it.
That's
or
true.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, people, listen to the doctor. The Boys is the most fantastic show recently that I've laid eyes on.
Have we already said that if you got a fever,
the only prescription
is
more The Boys.
The Boys.
Ferda. I actually, aside from watching The Boys, I have been reading a comic book.
Ooh.
Of sorts, given to me by our dear friend Alex Cooper. Mm-hmm. He wanted my take on it. And if you have not read it, number 1, I'd be shocked. And number 2, you can read it when I'm done. I have started reading The Superior Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Doc Ock is Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And
little brain
Flash
switcheroo.
Thompson is the Venom. And
Agent Venom.
He starts out like, I'm in control. I'm in control of this. He's Agent Venom. He's, I'm in control of the symbiote, I haven't gotten too far in because I've been watching The Boys, but it starts out like, I was like, wow, this is...
Yeah.
this is intriguing.
Yeah.
This could be a good movie. Possibly in the new animated style that
It'd
Spider-Verse
make a
is.
great animated movie for sure.
It would.
Yeah.
Starting out, it grasped my attention. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is new. This is cool. This is a spin. I'm hooked. When I'm done binging The Boys, I'll get back to you.
Yeah, it'll receive my full attention after that.
Yes. And I've also been listening to this new podcast. It's not new. It's been around for a little bit, but it's new to me. It's called For Your Reference Podcast.
I've heard of it.
They it's this really cool duo, and they break down movies. You know, they reference you to movies. And they also did an episode on The Boys show.
So you're basically recommending a show that's exactly like our show, but not our show.
Well, it's not as vague as ours. They do stuff that we won't do either.
Oh,
Like they'll talk about Rambo.
they're probably not PG though.
Nope, they're not.
We are.
They are not PG. I love their show, but definitely not PG. But definitely worth checking out if you are fine with PG-13 and up. Language. Because she gets passionate, and she is very passionate about the show 30 Rock. It's KT and Odie, I believe, are their names. And they've actually been sharing a lot of our stuff on social media.
Really?
And commenting on it, and gave us this really nice review on her iTunes podcast. And
Wow.
it was really nice. It was like she loves the stuff, the nerdy stuff, and I was like, I love your show. Yeah, and
Awesome.
But yeah, I mean, she has a killer Australian accent that is just beautiful. But yeah, aside from The Boys and the Superior Spider-Man, I found a new podcast that I thoroughly enjoy. To add to my list of that's all I listen to throughout the week is podcasts now.
Me too, pretty much.
But in a world where the radio is just repetitive of the same old stuff, it's nice to have good podcasts to listen to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that brings us to the Nerd News. Let's dive right in here. Let's unpack the news. In the battle for Keanu Reeves to join the world of superhero movies, one of DC's writers from CW said, let's be real. WB bringing him back as Neo in Matrix 4 is obviously a small strategic move to either bring him in as Deathstroke or bring him back as Constantine.
I thought that we already had a Deathstroke.
They stopped it, remember?
Oh,
After that
goodness.
Justice League debacle, and Ben left, and Cavill has left, why would they need...
But, okay, that's the thing. I can't keep up with what counts and what didn't count in DC.
Matt Reeves and Gunn, James Gunn, their DC universe has basically admitted to we're going to wipe a lot of that under the rug. But the problem is the bad stuff fans don't forget. You can't make us ignore the fact that we had a crappy Batman vs. Superman and a weak Justice League movie. We won't forget it.
Yeah.
Especially a DC fanatic like myself. It's hard to forgive that.
You know, Justice League was totally watchable.
It was watchable.
You know, I didn't really have much
so
of an
was the
issue
first
with it.
Ghost Rider. It was watchable.
But for you to say, it was weak, I think that's very accurate.
Yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't awful. It
No.
was just kind of weak. It was just kind of meh.
I mean, there were good things and there were bad things. And the bad things to me outweighed the good.
Yeah.
So basically, Reeves and Gunn are trying to save us. Well, like Chris Jericho.
More
They're
power
trying
to them.
save us. And apparently a CW writer was doing an interview about the upcoming seasons of Arrow and Flash. And they talked about Keanu Reeves in the DC. Who would he play? And that's when he said, let's be honest. He's joining WB again to be Neo. So why wouldn't they be like, hey.
WB, not WWE.
Did I say WB?
You did.
Sorry. WB.
We
I
were
still
at
got
Raw
Raw-
last
I was
night.
like, I still got
That's
Raw in the
over
brain. And they said that it was a strategic move by the company to say, while you're playing Neo again, we get a few parts in the DC universe. Now
Does it work like that?
Oh, come on. You know that stuff works
Yeah,
like
but
that.
he's gonna do
Hollywood's
that
so crooked.
and he's gonna turn down the Marvel money.
No, he's going to do both.
Oh,
You know
okay.
he's going to do both. Same thing that Gunn's doing. I mean, you can do both. We've proved that. Other actors have proved that you can do both sides. There's not a clause in their contracts that keep them from doing.
Yeah, I guess I just kind of thought that it was going to be a pick or choose kind of thing because
I
all
don't
of it
think
was
it will
happening
be.
like very soon.
I don't think it will be.
But what do I know?
You're just a nerd. Moving on. Haley Atwell, best known as the MCU's Peggy Carter in Captain America series, will join Tom Cruise in, get this, Mission Impossible 7.
Yay!
Yay, another Mission Impossible. Yay, Tom Cruise is like 60. And
Is he
doesn't
really?
he's almost 60 years old. Wow. Dude. Does he look 60?
No.
Fine wine, I'm telling you. He is an alien. You know, because he's been accused of being one of the lizard people.
Could be.
Could be. He's immortal.
You know, only a lizard person can fly an airplane like that in Top Gun.
Right? And come back looking the exact same that he did in the first Top Gun. I mean, have you seen the Top Gun 2 trailer?
Yes.
He looks like... it just upsets me. I've aged like bad cheese, and he ages like fine wine. Ah.
Wow.
Moving on. It is rumored that Liam Neeson, I've got a particular set of skills, is on a very short list to be Galactus.
Saw that. I don't have a problem with it. I think it'd be great.
Guess it depends on how to do Galactus. I hope
Well,
they don't do him like that terrible Fantastic Four
They
sequel.
definitely are not going to do it like that. He would be great.
Okay. Moving on. Speaking of casting, both Michael Fassbender and Viggo Mortensen have been approached by Legion's showrunner, who is attached to the project that will bring Doctor Doom into the MCU. So out of the two, Viggo Mortensen, Lord Aragorn, or Fassbender, who just got done being Magneto in the Fox universe as Doctor Doom, which one do you cast?
If I had to
pick,
if I had to pick between those two, I think I would go with Aragorn because it would just be really weird seeing Fassbender
Magneto
as Doctor Doom
just a year or so
after.
after.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Not enough time
he'd
for
be
that.
great if he hadn't already just been Magneto.
I would love Jason Isaacs as Doctor Doom. Lucius Malfoy.
Yeah, he'd be
I think
good.
he'd be good.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. Sometimes I think they release nerd news to sway us one direction and then they shock us.
So tantalizing.
So tantalizing. Why would you do that? Moving on. Robert Axelrod, voice of Lord Zed in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, has passed away at the age of 70.
Saw that.
I loved when Zed came in.
Mm-hmm. Me
He
too.
was so scary looking.
Yeah.
That is sad. And the last bit of news, it is reported that with Ewan McGregor returning as Obi-Wan, it will be followed by not just a Darth Maul returning, but a solo D+ series of Darth Maul.
Yes.
And this will show us how he survived, who saved him, and where he has been, and what got him to Solo.
That would be great.
I would watch it 1,000 times over.
I'm all in.
Take my money. D+. If
Just
you're
take
bringing me more Darth Maul, one of the most underutilized characters in the Star Wars universe, absolutely.
I'm there.
I'm
there for that one.
Absolutely. And you know what? There wasn't that much. It just the way I typed it, it looks bigger than it was, but that's all your nerd news for today. You know, nerds, I have been binging The Boys for the past week, and 2 out of the 3 nights it took me to binge it, Doctor, I went to our favorite restaurant.
Oh, would that be Akita Express?
Yes. I did not go in. I drove through because I was like, I gotta get back to The Boys.
Yeah.
I'm hungry, but I gotta get back to The Boys.
You were
Yeah.
trying to fill that prescription that I
Exactly.
gave you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if I, as a registered nerd practitioner, I do not have my PhD, and I understand that, but if I could write a prescription, I would write a prescription for more Akita.
Ooh.
Delicious.
Yes.
Absolutely delicious. If it was not just terrible of someone to do, I would eat it every day. And I probably would anyways, because I don't care what people think. I always get the chicken teriyaki myself, but they have a great menu. Inexpensive prices, food ready in minutes, fresh hibachi grilled
Best shrimp sauce
daily.
in town.
Oh, I'm telling you. The shrimp sauce, if you have not eaten at Akita, you go to try their shrimp sauce, and then you will go smack every other hibachi grill you have ever eaten at and been like, you're doing it wrong.
Yep.
And I've tried to ask Quan every time I'm in there, what's the secret, man? And he goes, that's why it's a secret, Tyler. I'm not going to tell you because you have a podcast.
Yeah. Smart man.
Like, dang, smart businessman. They honestly believe in providing the best customer service and fast food for a very reasonable price. And if you haven't tried it, they will make something that you love, whether it's shrimp, chicken, steak. I mean, heck, they have scallops.
Oh, yeah.
I have never tried a scallop, but they have them.
And they have all veggies?
They have all veggies for you vegetarians out there. And they also have hibachi and teriyaki style. And, of course, like we said, the greatest shrimp sauce on the planet. 10 out of 10 would definitely recommend. Give Akita Express a try. They're at 3100 East Morse Boulevard right here in Morristown, Tennessee. When you stop by, tell them 30 and Nerdy sent you.
That's right.
All right, so, Doc, are you ready?
Is it finally time?
It's time.
It's time that we break it down on The Boys. Oh, yes.
You're giddy with excitement over there.
I'm so excited.
I know you're excited. I'm very excited too, especially since you were correct in recommending this. I was latched onto my screen all week, on the edge of my seat. Like I said earlier, unable to take notes sometimes because I was just glued.
Yeah, I actually did not take a whole lot, and this was my second time watching it. Because I was
still glued.
I was just enjoying it so much. Yeah, I read a headline today. I didn't read the actual article, so who knows? Because the internet. But I read a headline today that said The Boys has now become more popular as far as like views and stuff than every one of the Netflix Marvel shows, Daredevil, Defenders, and all that stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, Punisher and Daredevil were pretty
big.
big.
Would that be considered DC money?
I think it would have to, probably. Yeah.
It's the small victories,
Yeah. Well, hey,
you gotta take them when you get them.
Marvel and TV has not really been the best.
Well, it's kind of like we talk about with other things. Just stick to what you're really good at. Stay in the cinematic universe. DC, stay in the television. So, The Boys is an American comic book series written by Gareth Ennis and co-created, designed, and illustrated by Derek Robertson, actually. It was originally published by Wildstorm, a partner with DC Comics, brother, whatever have you, before moving to Dynamite Entertainment. And Wildstorm was actually founded by Jim Lee and is a partner company of DC, and brought its characters into DC with the New 52 reboot in 2011. The series is set between 2006 and 2008, in a world where superheroes exist. However, most of the superheroes in the series universe are corrupt by their celebrity status, and often engage in reckless behavior, compromising the safety of the world. The story follows a small, clandestine, which is secret, means secret, CIA. I used a big word. So
I know. I'm glad you cleared it up.
Yeah, I wanted to clear it up with the listeners. They're a secret CIA squad, informally known as The Boys, led by Butcher, and also consisting of Mother's Milk, the Frenchman, the Female, and new addition Wee Huey Campbell, who are charged with monitoring the superhero community, often leading to gruesome confrontations and dreadful results. In parallel, a key subplot follows Annie, Starlight January, a young and naive superhero who joins the Seven, the most prestigious and corrupt superhero group in the world, and the Boys' most powerful enemies. The book was adapted in an Amazon Prime original series by Eric Kripke. What a brilliant mind. Creator of Supernatural.
Oh,
Yes. Creator and producer and writer of Supernatural.
Hey, that's cool.
It is, which premiered on July 26, 2019 and was renewed for a second season prior to the premiere date.
Yes!
And the Amazon OG show is what we are breaking down today.
Indeed, we are.
We are very excited to break this down.
So why don't we talk about the cast and the main characters just for a second? So Carl Urban, we just got done talking about
Him in Lord of the Rings.
The Two Towers a while back. He plays Billy Butcher. He's the leader of the boys who distrust all individuals with superpowers. He has a particular hatred towards Homelander, whom he believes is responsible for the disappearance of his wife. Mm-hmm. Jack Quaid as Huey Campbell. Huey's one of my favorites. I love Huey.
What was he in before this?
Okay, so
He's familiar,
Jack Quaid was in The Hunger Games. He was one of the kids from one of the other districts. He was one of the bad kids, basically.
Not in the first one.
Yes, the first one.
Who got eaten up?
I can't remember what happened to him.
Did he kill Rue?
He was the one that killed.
Okay.
Spoiler alert! He was the one that killed Rue.
Okay, I know who it is.
Yeah, that was him.
Okay.
That was wee Huey.
Wee Huey.
So he becomes a member of the boys, who joins the vigilantes after his girlfriend Robin is killed by A-Train. And what an opening! What an opening scene, or second scene, but still.
It blew my mind.
Yeah. Robin too. So next we have Anthony spelled with no H. Anthony Starr as John Homelander, just Homelander. The extremely powerful leader of the Seven, and basically Homelander is Superman, but a jerk.
Yeah.
Like if Superman really existed, this is probably what he would be like.
Probably an egomaniac.
But it says beneath his public image as a noble hero, he is arrogant, sadistic, and cares little about the well-being of those he professes to protect. What a tool. Erin Moriarty as Annie January, also known as Starlight. Love Starlight. Love Starlight. A light-emitting superhero and newest member of the Seven. Unlike many other superpowered individuals, Annie is genuine in her efforts to help the public. And that's the source of a lot of her conflict throughout the show. Mm-hmm. And I think why we love her so much. Next we have Dominique McGilligott. Mm-hmm. Wow. As Queen Maeve. I assume she's not from around here, based on her name. I'm going to find out real quick. She's Irish. That makes sense. Okay, so she plays Queen Maeve. She's a veteran member of the Seven who once wanted to protect innocent lives, but has become disillusioned and suffers from burnout. Mm-hmm. Jesse T. Usher as A-Train, a speedster member of the Seven. So he's essentially the Flash.
Did you know he was in Independence Day 2?
I did not.
Yeah. Did you see the sequel?
I did. I hated it.
You hated it?
I hated it. Yeah.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, that's just me. Maybe if I watched it again, I'd like it more. But the one time that I saw it, I was not impressed. Laz Alonso as Marvin, also known as Mother's Milk. An imposing member of the boys, he continually promises to leave the group for the safety of his family, and because of frequent clashes with Frenchie, but finds himself lured back by Butcher. That old sneaky Butcher. Mm-hmm. Chase Crawford as Kevin, also known as the Deep, a member of the Seven who possesses the ability to communicate with aquatic life and breathe underwater. Kind of like
familiar.
Aquaman here. Tomer Capone as Frenchie. Love Frenchie.
Yeah.
A member of the boys and mercenary skilled in munitions, ordnance, infiltration, and communications. Frenchie has a tendency to not follow the team's plans, which puts him in repeated conflicts with Mother's Milk. Karen Fukuhara as Kimiko, the female. Kimiko. Is that actually?
Kimiko.
Yeah. The female, a mute, superhuman member of the boys with the power of regeneration, healing, and with enhanced strength and durability. Regenerative healing.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Nathan Mitchell as Black Noir, a silent ninja-type member of the Seven, who possesses superhuman strength and agility, and conceals his physical appearance behind a dark costume. You know, this I did not know what Black Noir's power was until just now.
Super
Because
strength.
he never did anything except play the piano and sit there.
He throws when he gets in a fight with Kimiko. He has like these dagger-like things too.
Oh, that's right.
Looks like batarangs.
Yes, exactly. And then the last one here, Elizabeth Shue as Madeline Stillwell, a charismatic, scheming vice president of Vought International. A very good antagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jesse, the guy playing A-Train is also in the new Shaft movie.
Wow.
Plays Shaft's son.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, his character wasn't especially lovable, but I thought he did a good job in the part. And there were times
Absolutely.
where, you know, you're kind of meant to sympathize
Feel
with
for
him a
him, yeah.
little bit, even though he killed the main character's girlfriend. You know, I enjoyed.
So
A-Train.
you know that we've talked about, you know, it has a big DC feel naturally because, you know, they're a partner company with DC, and when you think of these above average superheroes, these larger than life godlike superheroes, a lot of people lean towards DC because they think of the Justice League, you know. So I have here most of them. I have all of them except for Starlight, but A-Train we obviously says very equivalent to the Flash.
Right.
Black Noir.
Right.
Homelander's obviously Superman. Translucent I think is Martian Manhunter.
That's kind of what I
Yeah.
thought too.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
The Deep obviously Aquaman. Queen Maeve is obviously Wonder Woman. Lamplighter's Green Lantern, but you don't get to see much of him because he's retiring at the very beginning of the show. Starlight.
So I think the closest comparison that I can come up with is like Supergirl.
Yeah. The whole lighting up powers, I don't know of many superheroes that do that. Maybe the beams that she shoots out, it's kind of like Captain Marvel's beams.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Hers, Captain Marvel is like
Photon,
cosmic
photon
and
energy.
Starlight is like she actually pulls from
Yeah,
the light of the
around
sun,
her. Yeah.
or something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
But yeah, Starlight's kind of like 5 in the Umbrella Academy. Couldn't really think of an equivalent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Just pretty original.
All right. Shall we go ahead and start our rundown?
Yeah, let's dive into this.
So, episode 1 is The Name of the Game. Huey Campbell suffers mental trauma after his girlfriend Robin is killed in a high-velocity impact with celebrity superhero A-Train. Lawyers from Vought International, and those are the people who basically market and own
the brands of the superheroes.
Seven. Yeah. They offer a $45,000 settlement, which Huey hesitates to accept. Aspiring superhero Annie January auditions as Starlight and is accepted to join the Seven, following the retirement of the Lamplighter. Arriving at Seven headquarters, she is greeted by the Deep, who blackmails her into giving him sexual favors, we'll say. Billy Butcher offers Huey a chance to expose superhero corruption. Butcher takes Huey to a secret Soups Club and shows him security footage of A-Train laughing about Robin's death. Butcher asks Huey to take the settlement money and to plant a bug at Seven Tower, but Huey refuses. In Central Park, Annie meets Huey. They motivate each other to stand up for themselves and face their challenges. Huey plants the bug. Translucent discovers the bug and confronts Huey alone at work. Butcher arrives and together they incapacitate Translucent. Elsewhere, Homelander shoots down the mayor of Baltimore's plane, owing to his attempts to blackmail Vought.
A lot happens in this opening, but I think it's handled well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we talk about in these shows that have, you know, multiple arcs going on that sometimes they fall short when bouncing around.
Yeah,
But this show nails it.
absolutely they do.
You don't feel like you've just left arc 1 going into arc 2. You don't feel like, okay, I wasn't really finished. Like you didn't get it. It's good. It's good cutaways.
Very
to
satisfying.
Very satisfying. And I to risk being very transparent about this. Not translucent, transparent.
You don't want to be translucent for many reasons.
Yeah. I watched the pilot alone at the house, and when he runs through Robin, I shouted at the top of my lungs, "What?" Just shocked the living daylight. I mean, there are so many moments in TV, film, what have you, where you know that throughout the dialogue, you'll be like, okay, there's going to be an awkward moment that cues the big scare or the big moment. You're looking for the Q word, basically, especially us coming from the theater world. You know what the Q word is. The Q word before the action. They didn't give you a Q word. It just comes out of nowhere.
Yeah, it kind of takes you a second to figure out what's going on until he's just standing there holding her
hands.
Her severed hands.
That's all that is left of her is her hands.
Yeah.
A-Train hit her that hard.
Yeah.
And just blew her apart.
Oh.
I mean, it was... Whew.
What a way to start the season, huh? Really kind of tells you, this is definitely the tone of this show. You learn in the first 5 minutes.
Just grit.
Gritty.
Hardcore grit. Very Pulp Fiction, Sin City type of superhero movie. Just gritty. Not like dark in that illustration-wise, but just, this is going to be an adult show.
Yes.
And, I talked about Jesse Usher, who plays A-Train, being in Independence Day 2 in the new Shaft. He just started acting like 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. He's really good.
He really is. And his first massive gig was Independence Day 2. And then, boom, he just started.
So who did he play in Independence Day 2?
He played Will Smith's son.
Oh, wow.
That was him. Grown up.
He didn't even look familiar to me.
Yeah. It was not until... I didn't recognize him until that moment where he's in the store with his mask off. And I was like, wait a second. I've seen him in something. And, of course, I did what every movie buff does. I got him on IMDb.
Yeah.
And searched him. But it's a great cast. Just from the gate, these actors and actresses portraying these characters, they're so believable.
Yeah, and especially Homelander, like, he's a good bad guy because... And I love the idea of the person who's playing the hero actually is like the worst person, the
kind of like
the worst
that,
character.
NPH movie that Whedon made, Dr. Horrible sing-along book.
Captain Hammer was really the villain.
Nathan Fillion, he was the superhero, the guy who saves the day, but he's the worst person ever.
Exactly. It's like he looks like the stereotypical superhero. He can fly. He's good looking. His hair is perfect. He can shoot lasers out of it. He's like, oh, I'm all American and I'm this and I'm that. And he's a complete...
He's a terrible human being. And I don't just mean like, oh, he's a jerk. He's a sadist.
Yeah.
He's a sociopath. He is a nut job, a loose cannon.
Homelander don't care.
No, he don't, because he says it multiple times, like, I am the strongest being on this planet. Nothing can kill me.
And everyone is afraid of him.
Everyone, even his bosses, are terrified of him.
Well, there's one person who was not afraid, and that's that. We'll talk about that in the end. Well, actually, there's a couple people who aren't, but
there's a couple people who aren't.
We'll talk about a couple specific people later.
And I was not expecting Simon Pegg to be playing his dad.
So there's a reason for that. Okay, so when Derek Robertson, who illustrated the Boys, the comic, when he was trying to design the characters, he had notes from Garth Ennis, the writer, and Wee Huey was described as innocent but with tough determination, and so Derek Robertson saw Simon Pegg in this movie called Spaced. And that sort of inspired Huey's look. So Huey in the comics, his look is based on Simon Pegg. But 20 years ago or whenever it was.
Wow.
And so he also did like a little forward for the comic books. Like, he wrote a thing in the beginning. And then, of course, he was in the show.
That's cool.
Yeah. So that's the connection there.
The more you know.
Yeah.
In this, you talked about the Deep forcing himself in a very terrible way on young, newly hired Starlight.
Yeah, he kind of seems
a terrible human
He
being.
kind of seems like he's going to be okay. Like maybe he's a nice guy, and
Especially when he
so
starts
much.
giving the tour and they do the press conference together and at the Lamplighter's retirement thing, and he's showing her the screens and he's like, we got this, and it's pretty cool. I'm the Deep, I do this, and you're like, okay, so where are we going with this? And then the moment happens, and you're just like, wow, what a terrible guy.
I don't know. I kind of felt like once they got into the room with the table, the V table, like V for Vought, and she was looking away, and she started talking about, oh, I used to have a crush on you and all this stuff. I was like, okay, something's going on here.
Something wicked this way comes.
And it did.
And Jimmy Fallon has a segment.
Oh yeah, he had
show.
Translucent
They had
on the show.
on. It's funny.
Translucent, he's a schmuck too.
He is.
Man.
Like, he's not like a villain, like Homelander or something. Like, he's not that kind of bad.
He's a creeper.
He's just a creep. He's just a schmuck.
Like, so the whole reason that he caught Huey with the little tracking thing, the bug, was because Huey went to the bathroom and he dropped it on the floor, and Translucent was hanging out in there. And
Invisible.
And for him to be invisible, he has to be nude.
Nude, yeah.
So he hangs out in the bathroom waiting on the lady heroes to come in, and he stands in there and watches them and stuff because he's a
But Maeve knows
creep.
he's there.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah,
that's
she's
right.
up to his. She's like, okay.
But Huey didn't,
You're
and that's
a
how he
creep.
got caught.
Yeah. Definitely a show not for kids. And have I mentioned how much I love Carl Urban?
Carl Urban was a great dude. Okay, I want you to picture Carl Urban right now. I want you to picture Billy Butcher as I read this little fact to you. Okay. So in the comics, Butcher's original name was going to be Savage. Writer Garth Ennis described Butcher as having a dark, cruel smile of malicious intent. And when you think about Carl Urban as Butcher, and you think dark, cruel smile of malicious intent, he totally nailed it.
Especially when he corners Mesmer in the...
Oh, yeah.
Like they run into each other in the train station and he just sits there with that smirk on his mouth. Very Negan.
I had the Negan connection, too. In the comics at the end, they've got some, conception art. Like, these are all the original faces that they had for Butcher. And the illustrator just couldn't get it right until he got that description from the writer, dark, cruel smile of malicious intent, and then like that, Butcher was born. And then that's, they have all the pictures in the book of none of the faces just looked right. And as soon as he got that little bit of info, then you see Butcher, and man, that smile is there, you know. And Carl Urban, he nails it. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh, he's amazing. And Homelander kind of reminds me of Chris Pine.
Me too.
A little bit.
Me too.
Sometimes like a cross of Chris Pine and Bradley Cooper.
Oh yeah, I can see that too.
Sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it was a fantastic first episode. Leaves you hooked. Leaves you wanting more. And all of these are like an hour long.
Mm-hmm.
So these are almost movies. Mm-hmm. So they're done well. You don't get tired.
Shall we move on to episode 2?
Absolutely.
This one is called Cherry. So Butcher and Huey take Translucent to Frenchie, who makes a meta bullet to pierce his diamond-hard skin, but it fails to kill Translucent. Butcher turns to CIA Deputy Director Susan Raynor for the Mallory files, but she refuses. Vought VP Madeline Stillwell tells 7-liter Homelander about the evidence Deep found incriminating him for the plane crash, so she handles it while he talks to Deep. The night Starlight teams up with the Deep. She promises to kill him if he ever tries to sexually assault her again. Stillwell blackmails Oklahoma Senator Calhoun into allowing a vote that could enable Vought to contract superheroes to the military. Annie stops a rape, unaware she's being recorded. Her agent, Ashley, rages at her because of the negative exposure and legal implications. While Homelander searches for Translucent, Frenchie decides to place a C4 in Translucent's colon, who then fearfully reveals A-Train was with his girlfriend Popclaw before he killed Robin. They learn Homelander is nearby and cannot risk killing Translucent because he would hear it, or he would see it. He can see through walls and stuff too. So Frenchie and Butcher cause an explosive distraction. Translucent escapes and convinces Huey to let him go. But Huey changes his mind and detonates the C4, killing Translucent. Death from a bomb in your butt.
Oh God, there are less creative ways to go.
That's true.
And I think what cued Huey to do that was, he was trying to be nice, and Translucent goes, I'll forget you. You're not the killer, Huey. You're not a Butch. You're not the killer. And as he's walking away, he says, you can leave this and just go live a life. And those are the words that kind of, what life? My girlfriend's dead. My girlfriend was just murdered by your number one, your top guy. And you're telling me to just ignore this and live a life? And anytime Huey's about to snap, you hear that high-pitched ringing coming. And he just pushes the button. I was like, whoa!
It reminds me a lot, we might have made this connection before, I don't know, but it reminds me a lot of Wanted.
Yes.
And Wanted is another favorite of mine.
When he gets recruited first.
Mm-hmm. He thinks he has all this terrible anxiety, and he has really bad temper issues, and he just loses it, and that's kind of and on the outside looking in, he's like, doesn't look like he's gonna hurt anybody. People take advantage of him,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's really underneath all that, warrior,
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like also in Fight Club when Edward Norton's character creates Tyler.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt's character.
Yeah.
I mean,
same thing.
That's kind of his subconscious, I could never do this, but Tyler can.
Why you don't mess with the little guys.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about this thing here about Starlight stopping the rape thing.
Mm-hmm.
So she's doing what she's supposed to do. She's a superhero,
As a hero.
And that's the whole reason she wanted to be in the Seven. She wants to help as many people as she can. She's a true hero.
Yeah.
And she gets in trouble for it by Vought, the people.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't planned out. It wasn't an assignment given to her.
Not her image.
She got caught on cell phone cameras, and now there's going to be bad publicity and all that. That is so crazy. You're mad at her for doing her job, And that just shows you how evil and what sellouts the Seven are. And Vought and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
Bad stuff.
Well, it's just not your image. I remember, how many times throughout the show does the Deep actually genuinely keep coming up to, there's really some terrible things happening to the Dolphins. Or I could do this, and blah, blah, blah. And Stillwell's just it's not your image, sweetheart.
Yeah.
That's not your thing. Play to your strengths. And that's such a corporate America answer. It's not your strengths, baby. You're the fish guy. And privatizing superheroes for the American Army's use is totally what would happen.
Oh, yeah,
If
absolutely.
Superheroes were real. Our Congress would be they basically did it with Captain America, kind of, also.
Especially when they're like Homelander and his cape is the American flag. And he's like, I grew up in small town USA and I played baseball. And
I am ordained by God as a superhero, and this is America, and this is justice for our country. Everything I'm doing is better for our country. And all that propaganda he's selling, it's beautiful to the eyes of the ears of the average angry American. I mean, it's terrifying, really, because we look at this as this outlandish, this outlandish superhero show. No, there's messages in there.
There are some very clear, if you watch with an open eye, there are several parallels, I think.
Definitely parallels, especially for an episode coming up.
Yeah,
soon. And did Urban does some Jack Sparrowisms. He says "Sevy" 2 or 3 times, and he's the only other character I have ever heard say "Sevy."
Yeah, I think it's just a Cockney thing.
Yeah, and he said something about Bob's your uncle, and you get to go home.
Yeah,
you know, I was like, I've only ever heard Jack Sparrow say that. So it's funny at the very end of this episode, the closing song is "Cherry Bomb." Well, there was a bomb in his bum,
Yeah.
you know, and "Cherry Bomb" is a high energy,
upbeat song.
famous MCU movie. It's "Cherry Bomb," man.
Well, that would be the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
While they're planning their
Possibly
defense from
the
Ronan
greatest
the
albums
Accuser.
ever released is the soundtrack to Guardians of the Galaxy 1.
It's up there, man. It's
That's
way
amazing.
up there.
So, anything else on episode 2? I
think
love
that's
Frenchie.
Oh,
I
me
love him.
too.
I love him. Great character.
He's another one where it's like, you know, he's this sweet little
French
lovely guy, and then, you know, if you do the
Makes a
wrong
bullet.
thing, he's gonna snap, and he's gonna, you know,
They're all distorted.
they all have their demons.
Yes,
We'll
they
say.
all have their demons. Go ahead. Let's move on to episode 3. Get some.
Get some. As Frenchie and Butcher clean up Translucent's remains, Huey leaves his home after finally telling his father how he truly feels. Poor Simon Pegg. He just wants to sit on the couch and
Yeah.
eat pizza rolls with his son, you know.
exactly.
Meanwhile, Starlight gains positive publicity for stopping the date rape, only to learn Stillwell has given her a revealing costume. She declines, but Stillwell forces her to wear it or lose her job. Butcher brings in his former friend, Mother's Milk, to run surveillance on A-Train's girlfriend, Popclaw. Huey installs spyware on Popclaw's computer, and they learn that A-Train takes a performance-enhancing substance known as Compound V. Butcher wants to expose them before Soups can be allowed into the armed forces, but he still needs a vial of Compound V from A-Train's race with Shockwave. Before the race, Huey meets Annie as Starlight, inviting her to lunch. The two open up to each other, leading to their exchanging numbers. A-Train uses a vial to win the race and breaks his promise to Popclaw, announcing he is single. With Milk deducing Popclaw swiped some vials. I think there's some kind of typo there. With Milk deducing Popclaw swiped, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
They find her heartbroken, high, and in the midst of killing her landlord during hypercharged sexual relations. She kind of really did a number on that poor guy there. A Butcher uses this opportunity to blackmail Popclaw as an informant. At Vought headquarters, Homelander reveals Translucent's remains to Stillwell, along with Butcher's message, coming for you.
Ooh. They are coming. A lot happens. I mean, it's like I said, you know, a lot happens in these episodes, but they do it so well that you don't miss anything. And we've talked about this with Lord of the Rings, with the Umbrella Academy, music choices in shows and film make or break. You know, watching through these, even if it's the ambionic movie and the movie music in the back, or mood music, to the fast-paced fight music that's used, that's created in the studio, to even their soundtrack choices like Cherry Bomb in the last episode. These guys that make that choice, that make those selections and do that kind of stuff, they're really the unsung heroes of this. I mean, they bring a mood that some of the physical aspects of stuff can't bring.
It would feel pretty empty without it.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the episode, you know, like I said, Huey yells at his father. I think that's kind of a cliche in a lot of superhero type shows and movies, is there's turbulence in kid and parent relationships.
Yeah.
And for a reason, but not just superhero, but I think it's used quite a bit. It's used quite a bit.
But this was in such a way that, like, okay, so like Huey and his dad, their whole lives they've just kind of laid low, hang out on the couch on Friday night,
Never stick up for themselves.
Eat pizza rolls, you know. And in the first scene, in the first episode, Robin talks about how, like, you know, Huey, you don't have. she's basically telling him to man up a little bit, you know, and like she was the one that had to ask him out for their first date and stuff like that.
She's the one having to say, move in with me.
And now that this big traumatic thing has happened to Huey and he's started this new adventure with the boys and everything, like, he realizes, like, he doesn't want to live that life anymore. He can't just sit there and let life pass him by and not stand up for himself.
Well, and his dad's like, you love pizza rolls. And he's like, when I was 7, Dad, I'm not 7.
His dad means well.
He really does. He's a sweet guy and great English, like, American accent.
Oh, yeah.
Simon Pegg does a great American accent. And he really does mean well, but he's also cowardly in the aspect of take the check. He didn't mean to. You know, he's sorry. He saves us every day. He's a superhero. And
And well, he tells him, he's like, you know, you don't have the fight in you to take this any farther.
Yeah.
You don't have the fight in you. You never have.
Because we don't fight.
Yeah.
Even I'm not that way. It's kind of sad. Kind of sad to see that.
What do you think about Mother's Milk?
I think he would be a great Jon Stewart Green Lantern.
I could see that.
If Idris Elba was. Idris Elba's my dream casting for that Green Lantern, but it's got to be good. Or he'd be a good Cage.
Yeah, I agree.
I like him.
I didn't really care much about Mother's Milk my first watch through, but this time when I paid close attention to, some of his lines, he had some really quick one-liners here and there. So I really enjoyed Mother's Milk a lot this time. I love the scene when he shows up and Huey can't tell if Mother's Milk is serious about his name or not. It's like, no, my mother actually named me Mother's Milk. And he goes, did she? Because he just can't figure it out.
Really?
No, Huey. His real name is Marvin.
Yeah.
But I love when he gets a phone call.
From his wife.
What's his lady's name again?
Monique.
He's like, oh, we're gonna go get
some steaks.
Yeah, get you a pedicure.
I didn't get to. Oh my gosh, baby, I'm so sorry. I didn't season the tilapia. But what about this? On the way home, I'll grab 2 big fillets, that bottle of wine you love, and they're all just watching him like, what?
I'm just gonna say it. It's pretty bad.
Whipped. I mean, it's funny though because he's like, you too, and then you can hear her go, ah. He's like, you're right. You're right. I love you too. And he hangs up, and they're like, are you serious? What is that?
Speaking of that, talked a little bit about Popclaw and A-Train. You remember the really weird scene where, like, they're watching them on the cameras. The boys are watching A-Train and Popclaw, and like, they're enjoying their alone time a little bit.
Yeah.
And you think it's gonna be one thing that happens, but they have this weird foot thing that they do.
Yeah.
Like she sucks on his toes and stuff.
Yeah.
I was not expecting that.
Not expecting it. And Popclaw's kind of like the Omega Red character, or Wolverine kind of. Like she's a Weapon X. Like she has the claws that come out of, almost like Omega Reds.
Mm-hmm.
It comes out of her wrists. And she's just a junkie. I'm guessing a upstarting superhero, had her glory days. Must have got injured or just got left in the dust by the 7. Can't come out as a couple because Stillwell won't allow it. Because that's just not their image.
Well, yeah, and they probably market to like young women, teenagers and stuff. Like, look at A-Train, he's hot stuff and stuff. And if it's like, oh, he's tied down.
He's tied down by his junkie, no longer does superhero stuff. Popclaw. What a weird name. Popclaw. Kind of rolls. Popclaw.
It didn't talk about this in the little summary I just read, but we also learn about the history between Homelander and Queen Maeve. They had a relationship, you kind of get the feeling that Queen Maeve, and for a couple other reasons, but get the feeling Queen Maeve really was not so interested in that relationship, or did not really want to be a part of it.
Yes, because she is.
She's a lesbian.
She's a lesbian,
as we find out later.
Yeah, and she is not.
So
truly of the loving kind towards Homelander, and he has that weird moment at the race, and the Flash versus Kid Flash moment. A-Train is racing. Who's he racing?
Shockwave, I think.
Shockwave, the second fastest man alive, and the 7 have to be there to support A-Train because their marketing agents tell them to be there.
Right.
Even though they think it's stupid. And you kind of start to see a cynical side of Maeve. Like, this is all just garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just a puppet at this point, and she just doesn't care.
Yeah, and I was so back and forth about Queen Maeve because sometimes you feel like she really wants to do the right thing, and, she does want to truly be a hero, and she's had moments where she was in the past, and she talks about that, like she messed up her arm from stopping a bus or from landing on somebody or something. But she's just so far gone that she's just like, whatever, man, and she just kind of goes along with it.
She's just, she's
checked out.
She's a salmon swimming with the rest of the pack, just not going.
You think about what the Deep did to Starlight on her first day. Imagine what Homelander's done to
Maeve.
To Maeve. She's clearly scared of him.
She even says, like, that's not a thing anymore, and that never will be a thing. And he's like, Maeve, if I were to think for a second that you loved anyone else besides me, and he squeezes her arm, and he's like, I just couldn't take it.
What a creep.
And he's just sociopathic, man. And at the race, did you catch the Clark Kent joke?
I don't know.
They were smuggling Huey in as a mild-mannered reporter.
No, I didn't even think about it.
All right, here's your name tag. You're a mild-mannered reporter. I was like,
wow.
I did a Jerry Malloy. Ha ha! Just,
I didn't even think about that.
But I loved that scene because even though Huey realizes that Annie is Starlight, they have a drink together, and there's still that connection. That this is the job you were talking about, being part of the 7, and so on and so forth.
Well, it's good that he met her when she was Annie, because you see that
he knows her as Annie.
He likes her for her and not
Annie. Yeah,
for
exactly.
Starlight.
And it was really cool. It was such a, and again, it's such an American thing. Oh, we have superheroes? Well, let's get everyone together, make some money, and see who's the fastest.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that they don't have superhero Olympics to see who the greatest superhero Olympiad is.
We're going to get a season 2, so. I think the last important thing to talk about was the summary did mention that Stillwell told Starlight she had to change her outfit. She had to have this new kind of sexy costume, and she meets that little girl who made the costume like Starlight, and looks up to her, and she realizes, like, these little girls are watching me, and this is not the type of role model that I want to be, and really takes a toll on her. And that's very telling of who Starlight is, and speaks to her character quite a bit. So I love that moment.
Yeah. Is this where she... No, this isn't the episode where she talks to Stillwell about, like, this is what's going to happen.
No, not yet.
Okay. So are you ready to move on?
Yep.
All right, episode 4, the female of the species.
Butcher. Oh, wait a minute. I'm on the wrong thing here. Hold up. Sorry. Okay. Episode 4, the female of the species. Reading the wrong notes. Following Popclaw's tip, the boys find a triad hideout housing an imprisoned Japanese woman, the female, whom Frenchie frees. After she kills her guards and runs off, Milk finds evidence the female was a test subject. When Huey meets Starlight while bowling, Butcher has him bug her phone. With the Compound V supply compromised, A-Train has Popclaw go into hiding, while he searches for the female. Stillwell sends Homelander and Queen Maeve to save a hijacked airliner, but Homelander casually abandons the plane when the plane fails, forcing Maeve to choose her survival over the passengers. Frenchie finds evidence leading to Penn Station and makes a momentary connection there with the female, but loses her in the crowd. They corner her on the tracks, but A-Train arrives and tries to kill her. Frenchie attracts the crowd to distract A-Train, allowing the female to escape. The boys corner her again, and Frenchie tries talking to her. She still attacks, so Butcher uses knockout gas. Stillwell is pleased seeing Homelander use the tragedy to push for militarized supers, rousing the crowd with a speech while Maeve grieves for those she allowed to die. Yeah. So...
Again, so American. Because they using that gaslighting, that was pure gaslighting. Like, Homelander abandoned it because, his lasers destroyed the controls. They could have,
yeah,
pulled up on the controls, but he went crazy and killed the terrorist, and, collateral damage was the controls to the plane.
Yeah.
And when Maeve was like, fly out there and stop the plane, he's like, I don't have anything to stand on.
He didn't even try to,
No.
think about what can we do.
He's just like, well, darn.
Homelander is savage. He is Macho Man, Randy Savage level savage.
Yes, he is.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely is.
That whole scene on the airplane makes me so uncomfortable.
Absolutely.
You know?
He's doing it in front of the victims.
Oh.
He's like, no. And she's just like, even save this kid. No. So that she can tell people what happened? No, Maeve. And of course he says some other obscenities I will not repeat on here. But in front of them all. Just like,
And again, Maeve is trying to be
Yeah.
a legit hero,
Yeah.
Homelander's
And I
the
think
worst.
that's because Starlight's rubbing off on her. She sees in Starlight like, oh man, that's what I was. A bright-eyed, bushy-tailed hero.
That's true, too.
Because you slowly start to see her becoming more of that Maeve the days she spends around Starlight.
This episode open was one of my favorites. It's Butcher waking up to a hearty breakfast of Hot Pockets and beer. Mm-hmm. And I think he was watching the video footage of his wife, Rebecca, sitting on the bench, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I love that. Seeing him get up
Hot
and
Pockets and beer.
make the Hot Pockets, sit there.
Breakfast of champions.
He was ready to start the day.
Yeah. This is where we meet. We don't know her name's Kimiko yet, but the female. She is a soup, but my guess is that's a foreshadow to maybe season 2 that she might not have started out as a soup. She wasn't.
Yeah, she was like
in a flashback.
She was like a
just
test subject.
Test subject for military. She was made into a soup as an adult.
Right.
Which is definitely foreshadowing. She doesn't speak, but she has severely strong. Can heal, and she's like Wolverine.
Yeah.
Basically.
But I probably cared about the female the least out of all the boys.
Huh.
I
Well,
mean, I
think
guess
it's
it's because she
joined
didn't
late.
talk. Yeah, maybe that too.
She didn't talk.
I mean, I love the stuff with her and Frenchie. That was
Yeah.
cool. But, yeah, I just wasn't really into her
Well,
as
it was
much.
kind of a subplot
Yeah.
that was introduced halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
That, honestly, aside from a flashback, they didn't answer her subplot. This one note I wrote down in the finale was, what about the Kimiko subplot? I guess it goes into season 2.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
I'd like to see more. I have a note here. I don't know what the context was, but I must have thought it was funny. Mother's Milk calls Huey a white Steve Urkel.
Yeah.
So, love that.
I have a note here. Don't you hate when you're on a cute date at the bowling alley and those pesky illusions of your dead girlfriend start happening? To just put a damper on
It just
the night.
spoils everything.
It really does. It's like, sweetheart, go home. I'm on a date. You're dead.
Is he seeing her because...
It's guilt.
That's what I thought too. I thought that it was
It's a ghost. It's a
guilt
guilt ghost.
of, because he's starting to really like Starlight.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes I felt like it was just so all of a sudden. I looked for him to maybe look at Starlight in a, admiring way, like, oh, well, she's great, And then it happened. Mm-hmm. But it didn't seem to be that way. It was just like, it would just click on.
It was almost like when he started getting comfortable. It's like this subconscious, like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah. Well,
Your
Robin's
girlfriend just died.
Robin's the whole reason that he's caught up in this whole mess
Yeah.
anyway, you know.
Yeah.
And that's part of why Butcher gets so frustrated with you. It's like, you know, one, she's a soup. We hate
Yeah.
soups. You know, you cannot trust her. They're all the same. And two, this is distracting
We've
you
got our
from
job
our
to
mission
do.
here,
Yeah.
and this is going to ruin everything.
We're bringing down Vought. We're bringing down Homelander.
But that being said, Funko, I would love to have a 2-pack pop set of Huey and Starlight, please.
On the date.
Thank you.
At the table?
Maybe
That'd be cool. Or a moment.
something.
She bowl-
Maybe them on the
bowling alley.
bench.
Oh, the bench. That'd be a
That'd
good
be
one.
really good.
That would be a good one. What about, we cannot quote this on our show, but this is the episode we hear the Spice Girls speech.
So yeah, I put, is this Spice Girls info correct? Because Butcher goes through this list of all these things that are going on with the Spice Girls.
They are.
And all that stuff was true.
All of it happened.
It was a nice analogy either way that he made there. They're
Yes.
Butcher. He says, he says what he says about him. He says, apart, they're rubbish, but together, they're the GDMFN Spice Girls. And his analogy here is he's trying to explain to the boys,
We can't separate. We,
we
can't
gotta
fight.
be together.
Yes.
It's the only way. Together, we are the Spice Girls.
Yeah. And he
Because
makes that analogy because Becca loved the Spice Girls.
oh yeah.
She was remembering that flashback sequence.
That's why he knows all about them.
That's why she's like, they're only reuniting for this 1 year, and I have an opportunity tickets. I want to take you. And he's like, oh God,
I didn't even think about
It's a
that.
Spice Girls tour
Oh
that
yeah, that's
happened
right. And
our
he's like,
senior
oh,
year.
go with your friend,
Yeah.
go with your girlfriend or whatever.
It happened our freshman year of college.
Wow.
Was that last reunion they did, and that's what she's talking about.
Didn't even.
Yeah.
Duh.
Just
I didn't even
like-
think about it.
I was like, oh, now he's hooked. He's like, what's Sporty Spice up to?
But it's a good analogy
Great
because
analogy.
once again, Mother's Milk and Frenchie are at each other's throats, and you can tell that during their time apart, they probably weren't sending each other Christmas cards and
No, no,
stuff.
no.
So, you know, that was nice. Oh, this is also the episode with the Deep and the dolphin. He rescues the dolphin, and it wasn't in the summary, but he's driving the dolphin in the van, and he's having a conversation with the dolphin, and he slams on the
cops try to
brakes.
stop him because he's hijacked the dolphin from Ocean World or whatever they're
Yeah.
trying to open up that he's the face of. And he slams on the brakes, and the dolphin, this slow motion camera cutting, shows the dolphin slowly inching past him. He looks at the dolphin looks at it, goes, ah!
Oh no!
Slams through the window and gets ran over by a semi. Just a whoa moment.
Like, this is sort of like symbolic of the Deep and what his life is like right now.
He's losing it.
Just
man.
a bunch of dolphin
He's
bits
losing
on the
touch.
side of the highway.
Exactly. Just a bunch of canned dolphin.
Probably the most unusual and disturbing thing that I have ever seen. The
In a
dolphin
while.
thing. Wow.
In a while.
I remember
Absolutely.
I got a text from Zach. Zach from Advertising Expressions, one of our fine sponsors. He was watching the show a couple weeks ago, and he texted me during that, and he was like, wow, I don't even know what to say about that. I was like, yeah. What a
He
thing.
needs to make a hat that says canned dolphin.
Oh, too soon. That scene was brutal, though, man.
It's a really brutal scene. But it's also kind of comedic genius. He's sitting there arguing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, not yet. We don't have time for this. Talking to the dolphin while they're trying to escape. When I get you there, we'll discuss it. But we don't have time for this.
All right, you want to move on?
Just another comment on the gaslighting. It just seemed familiar. Did it not?
It should.
Yeah.
It
just
should.
seemed familiar. That's all.
Oh, but I mean, that's a great lead into the next episode.
Our
Probably my favorite
most
episode.
uncomfortable favorite episode. Episode 5.
Good for the soul. So, what we have here for episode 5. Okay, it says, at the Believe Expo, Starlight talks with teens while being quietly directed to push an agenda. While Butcher has Huey meet Ezekiel, the Expo host and their next lead, and he's like a big...
He's Mr. Fantastic.
Yes,
He's
those
the
are his
Elastic
powers,
Man.
but
he's stretchy.
he's
but
like a big guy in the church, and he does he's like a minister, you might say, I
a
guess.
contemporary.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a Tony Nolan. He's the lead singer of the Casting Crowns. He's
that's a good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good connection. So Maeve feels guilty for letting Flight 37 crash and visits her ex-girlfriend Elena, but leaves before explaining herself fully. Butcher takes time to talk with Rachel, his sister-in-law, over putting a tombstone to Becca. After A-Train kills Popclaw for betraying him, he finds surveillance footage of Frenchie. After Homelander exits a meeting with Ezekiel, Huey extorts Ezekiel for information about Compound V. One of my favorite scenes right there. Homelander rallies the crowd with an impromptu hardline speech, energizing the crowd. Starlight breaks script to honestly open up about how she feels about her faith, while also publicly revealing her sexual assault. She walks off, with Huey coming by to comfort her and to explain himself about Robin's death and needing some means of coping. Butcher and Milk discover babies exposed to Compound V to manufacture supers. Frenchie discovers 7-member Black Noir is looking for him. Attempting to escape, he is told to leave the female behind, but releases her out of sympathy. She seemingly dies protecting him from Black Noir, but then awakens, and her wounds immediately heal.
Well, Popclaw's not going to be in season 2.
Yeah, A-Train and Popclaw, worst breakup ever.
Yeah.
He shows up, kind of comforts her for a minute, and stabs her with like 8 heroin needles.
ODs her.
And at least it was quick.
Ugh, God.
What a thing.
The Believe Expo is
I have strong opinions about a lot of the content in this episode.
Unsettling, and also very reminiscent of growing up in the Bible Belt, and especially this town.
Yeah, look, I don't want to offend people here, you know.
By no means do we want to be offensive,
but there's a strong message here, guys. Yeah. There's some very strong parallels
of agendas.
Yeah. And I think that's really all I feel led to say about it. I think, you know, people get, if you watch the show and you watch the episode, you probably have your own opinions, whatever, but to me, strong connections, strong message.
And not the message that's on the surface. They're trying to push. The message of why they did the episode.
Essentially, Vought is using religion and people's faith as for profit. They're marketing their superheroes as being chosen by God. Yeah. And Homelander comes and, you know, he holds his arm and he turns it into this big speech about why the military should accept.
Because he was ordained by God.
Yeah, it's like, you know, I was chosen by God to be a hero for you, and he floats out among the people and they're all going crazy for him.
It's a messiahdom. It was a very messiah
exactly.
moment. And very, like, this was another one that I had to watch again just to take notes, because I was glued to the TV like, oh my gosh. Just, wow, this is weird.
There's this part where Huey gets the extra VIP pass from Starlight to get close to Ezekiel. And they all get like baptized. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Can just anybody perform a baptism? Is Homelander qualified to do that?
Remember, Ezekiel says Homelander's an ordained minister now.
Oh, that's right.
And he's like, "That's right, and I am here to baptize you."
So the answer is yes, he is qualified.
Yes, he is qualified.
Man, Huey is smooth, son. When he confronted Ezekiel
with the evidence missing,
yeah. So he had some video on his phone that he was going to try to blackmail Ezekiel with of him
inappropriate stuff.
Yeah, in some encounters, we'll say. Anyway, to thinking on his feet, you know, he says, you know, you and I.
You did something
hooked
to me.
Up. And I'm not trying to be crass here, but this was just so funny. I had to include this in my notes. He said, "You played my butt like jazz." That is like the funniest thing I've ever heard. It's like, Ezekiel, you played my butt like jazz.
And Ezekiel like legitimately like believes this because
he's had so many encounters.
He's probably like, probably did. You know, that was me. That was probably me.
Yeah.
So he gets information about this additive, this substance.
Compound
V.
We also have Starlight's big speech where she...
Go girl.
Absolutely.
Go, girl.
She walks out there following the script, and then she's like, you know what? Can we just stop? And I'm going to tell you how I really feel.
Yeah.
Which is what I think more people should do in the appropriate time and place.
I think today the kids today would say, yes, queen. I think is what they say, right?
I guess.
That moment was a very, yes, queen.
I was definitely like, yeah, you go, girl.
Go, girl, go, 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 girl. I did have a note here, and you have chosen to, you've said your piece. My note is, Homelander has an odd power moment with Huey as they are in a group to be born again in a second baptism. However, we know that this is other super Ezekiel is living a double life and plays many sides, if you will, but has the mask of Christianity behind him. This is a very big problem in this nation, actually. Ministers and preachers living double lives, but using the go tell 'em event style stuff and crusades to brainwash the masses is the message this episode is giving out. It kind of gave me chills for many reasons. One, because growing up, I went to these events.
I did too.
We've
never talked about that before.
These
but I
winter fests and these massive gatherings of, and again, the notes that I write actually do not reflect my true belief in real life, but in pushing agendas and propaganda. These massive gatherings.
I think the point that Starlight was trying to make was, you can still have faith, but it's okay to not be perfect.
Yes.
And it seems like I don't want to get too deep into this, but she's commenting on the fact that that's sort of the expectation that these people are presenting them with. Like, the kid asked her a question, a pretty inappropriate question about her history, and
she starts to
Starlight
tell the truth,
was going to share with her.
The minister goes,
yeah, he kind of gives that look like, hey,
you can't tell him what we told you to tell him.
Exactly. And in my opinion, sometimes it's just better to be upfront and honest.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's just.
I mean, that's even Starlight in her speech is saying, when you grow up, you actually grow up and go out on your own and aren't in the safety of this umbrella. Life's a little different.
You got to make your own choices and you got to figure things out, man.
Absolutely. And this episode, I think, did it well, but also gave us that wow mentality.
Yeah.
The moment where MM is what Butch calls Mother's Milk. MM and Butch find the babies in the lab being injected with this stuff.
That was brilliant, dude. When he got the baby and used him as a weapon, and he was like, it was like a little mini Homelander with the laser
with the
stuff.
gun, and he's like, I love this thing.
Yeah.
And he kills all the guards, and he sets it back in peacefully.
What does he say to him?
He says, "You're a good lad. Keep your nose clean, or I'll come back and stomp you."
That's it.
It's just Mother's Milk's there like, that's not like you. And he's like, "You're a good boy."
Yeah,
that
was
he's
brilliant.
A baby.
I loved it.
That was a funny scene. And imagine in our world, somebody looks at you and says, "Josh, I heard the Batman was looking for you." You'd be like, "Oh crap!"
You're gonna have to find me first, and he probably could.
He probably could. When he says Black Noir is looking for you, it's like he's like, "Oh, Black Noir, Black Noir," because he's the quiet. He's the Batman.
As powerful as Homelander is, I think I would definitely be more afraid of Black Noir.
Yeah.
Because of the mystery surrounding
it. It's the quiet ones you gotta look at. But the episode ends with the Wolverine opportunity of healing abilities, and that really pushes us towards Kimiko, there's more to Kimiko than meets the eye. But I liked this episode. Like I said, it might be our favorite episode for many reasons.
Yeah. All right, that leads us to episode 6, The Innocents. Now informed, the boys know Vought has used super charities to smuggle Compound V, disguised as polio vaccines, to make super babies since 1971. Annie learns that Ashley was fired, and Stillwell demands she comply with her designed image. Annie refuses, remarking that firing her after reporting a sexual assault would hurt Vought. It's all politics. Stillwell, aware it was deep, has him apologize publicly and transfers him to Sandusky, Ohio for a sabbatical. And do you think they were ever going to bring him back?
No.
I don't either. Butcher brings Huey to a collateral damage survivors support group. I love this scene. But leaves after yelling at them for doing nothing to get justice. Alone, Butcher explains to Huey that Homelander raped his wife and she went missing shortly thereafter. Frenchie and Milk get help from Mesmer, a telepath, which is played by
Haley Joel Osment.
Forrest Gump Jr. himself.
I See Dead People. The voice to Sora in Kingdom
lots
Hearts.
of things. So Frenchie and Milk get help from Mesmer, a telepath, to see into the mind of the female. Mesmer reveals the female was kidnapped along with her brother by the Shining Light Liberation Army terrorist group, and her name is Kimiko. They learn that Vought is making Compound V boosted terrorists to push militarization of supers. Butcher tells Raynor, but when she refuses to target Homelander, he calls the whole deal off. Meanwhile, Mesmer gives Homelander surveillance photos of the boys. Huey and Annie share a kiss, but Butcher finds out, warning Huey not to fraternize with the enemy, and threatens to tell her about Translucent.
What a jerk. I mean, I understand his play. He's worried about their operation, and I think he's worried about Huey as well.
Yeah, but I think his number one concern is his revenge.
Yeah.
And if you aren't helping him get that revenge, or you're getting in the way of it happening, then, you know.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
I loved Annie's power play against Stillwell.
Yeah,
No, I'm not gonna wear that suit.
She's figuring
yes,
things
you
out
are.
at this
She's
point.
Like, no, because blah, 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 blah. She gives the whole speech, and she's like, I need a second to decide what I'm going to do. But, I mean, if I'm the Deep, you've got to know you're not coming back. This isn't a sabbatical.
Oh, I don't think he knew that.
He's an idiot, first
I don't
of all.
think he knew that until, I guess it was like the last episode when he's like, oh, I'm getting out of here, you know? F Ohio.
Yeah.
And the
But
dude...
come on, they've got Cedar Point.
The dude that was like his liaison or whatever was like, actually you're not leaving.
So we will start season 2 with quite a few members of the Seven.
Well, he kind of had like a Britney Spears moment.
I've got that in my note. 2007 Britney Spears moment.
Yeah.
For the Deep.
I would definitely want to see where that leads.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
season 2.
Uh-huh.
I love the collateral damage support group.
I have it written right here. Definitely would be a thing, because genuinely think about the collateral in just Superman and Zod's fight in Man of Steel.
Mm-hmm.
Just that.
Like I'm doing the right thing to try to save Earth and everything, but along the way, a lot of people are going to get hurt, and there's going to be a lot of
Avengers.
Yeah, that was a whole storyline.
There's a whole storyline of like, look at what you did in New York. Look at what you did to this. Look at what you did here. There's collateral damage, Cap, and things you guys have got to be put in check.
And you've got to be held accountable.
Of course, there would be support groups for that stuff.
People who were affected and maimed by their interactions with superheroes.
Yes.
The poor guy that was
the poor marketing guy.
Guy. He had a little relationship with Ice Princess, who can turn herself like sub-zero temperatures, and
she basically turns herself into an ice.
And he found himself with the misfortune of being like her boyfriend for a while, and that led to
he lost a part of his manhood.
He did
in the collateral damage. Seth Rogen makes a cameo in this episode.
Did he?
Yeah, when they're doing like the clips of like Deep apologizing, and then A-Train's over here in a commercial and all that, and Rogan's sitting with Black Noir on a talk show, and Black Noir's just sitting there, and Rogan's doing the talk, and he goes, I'm really excited to be with the Vought Cinematic Universe. This is my first movie with the VCU.
That's
and all
right.
that. And I was like, Brilliant.
That's right. I
Brilliant
remember that
writing.
now. Yeah.
Well, and he's a producer
Of the show?
of the show, and
Oh.
you can tell that there's some Rogan
Oh,
stuff in there.
He's a pretty big nerd.
Yes, exactly. And Haley Joel Osment has not aged well.
No. Poor guy.
Poor guy. He's older than us, isn't he?
Yeah. A little bit.
A few years older than us.
Yeah, you really feel bad for him, though. He's this washed up, has been
That you see at Comic-Con.
hero celebrity guy. And
Who had a child.
oh man,
series.
that poor guy. Like their play of getting to Mesmer is MM has a connection to like child services, and
Yeah.
he gets
his
him
daughter.
a chance to see his daughter. And the poor guy, man, his daughter is just totally apathetic about it.
Yeah, just like, hi, Charles.
It's like, I don't really even know
I
you.
really know who
you know?
are, so.
Man, that would suck.
And he gives her a whole box set of the show that he did.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can get to know your father a little more. And she goes, I don't have a DVD player, so
Thanks, but no thanks.
thanks, but no thanks. I was like,
Man.
that sucks.
Yeah, I felt bad for Mesmer because he wants to be. He even said like, "I want to be one of the good guys again." He was trying to get Homelander to like get him a job, and he's like, you know, I don't even care what you pay me. It doesn't matter. I just want to be one of the good guys.
Well,
but he
and
doesn't.
He's still twisted that they're doing the good guy work.
He doesn't realize
Yeah.
they're not the good guys.
Yeah.
I think he's just really trying hard to make his daughter proud. Like, you know, Mesmer's my dad, and then he can have a relationship with her again if he's doing stuff like that. But didn't really work out.
I felt bad for him. I really
I did too. Okay, what was the deal with... Oh, it was Home... Okay, so we get the little flashback of Homelander's childhood in this episode.
In a lab.
So I hate Homelander, but anything with like babies and kids and stuff, like that really tugs at my heart. And the poor little guy was sitting in that room all alone. Mm-hmm. And the only interaction he was having with people was like the two dudes would come, you know, look in the window and wave at him. And he was just so happy to see somebody.
Yeah.
You know, it made me so sad. Poor baby Homelander.
But they're doing these like little stills with every superhero about their childhood. These fake stories about their childhood. And you're like, so they take him to this farmhouse that's very Clark Kent looking. And he's like, I remember, you know, playing baseball and...
My father and I would build these model airplanes, and my mother would be in the kitchen making apple pie.
Yes. Oh, man. He taught me how to throw. Hit a baseball. Baseball became my favorite sport.
Let's just say we did a lot of winning.
Yeah. Just very, like, I played this American sport. Look at my American farm.
He knew how to play the bit.
Oh, he's so good at it. But they make you feel for what created them, but at the same time hate what they are. At times, you know? It's kind of like you said, you know, you feel for what created Homelander. What made him this poor, sociopathic, terrible human being. But he's a terrible human being, so you don't like him. But you do kind of feel for, oh man, you know, he had a lonely past and he was raised in a lab and blah, blah, blah. I'd feel the same way too. You know?
I agree.
Yeah. So, shall we move on?
All right. We're almost there. Episode 7, the Self-Preservation Society. Hugh and Annie book a hotel room where their relationship begins to
Move to the next level.
Move on. And Huey agrees to introduce her to his father. Deep finds his transfer to Sandusky, Ohio beyond dull. Deep brings a fan to his apartment who proceeds to sexually assault him by painfully inserting her fingers into his gills. That whole thing made me cringe
Uncomfortable.
so much. Oh, and the gills thing, it just really... Ugh.
But he deserved every bit of what he was getting.
Meanwhile, A-Train needs more workouts after Compound V destroyed his system. Homelander holds a meeting to discuss Huey killing Translucent, extorting Ezekiel, and A-Train killing Robin, during which he angrily accuses Starlight of co-conspiracy. Maeve defends Starlight. When A-Train calls Huey, saying he is holding his dad hostage, the boys realize Mesmer betrayed them. Huey obtains some Compound V, allowing Kimiko to blindside and cripple A-Train. Butcher kills Mesmer, brutally, might I add, remembering when Mallory had first told him about Homelander. Homelander asks Dr. Vogelbaum about Becca Butcher, who informs him that Becca was pregnant with his child, but both died on the table and Vought covered it up. Questioning the revelation's timing, Vogelbaum expresses regret raising him in a lab, calling Homelander his greatest failure. And I loved hearing somebody look him in the eye and say, "You're my greatest failure. You're nothing to me."
You're nothing to me.
Butcher calls Raynor to protect Huey and Milk's families in exchange for evidence. As Raynor charges Stillwell and Vought, she then learns of the superhuman terrorist Nakib. I guess that's how you say it.
Yeah.
Annie confronts Huey, who
Translates
explains...
to Captain.
Does it?
Yeah, translates to Captain.
Annie confronts Huey, who explains Vaught's use of Compound V, and Butcher arrives shortly after to extract Huey after shooting Annie. Yeah.
Shoots her. What a jerk. I mean, she's not dead, obviously, because she's a soup. And she also has super strength, and she's kind of bulletproof.
Yeah, I mean, this episode just kind of moved really fast. I really didn't take any notes on
The
this
8-year
one.
flashback was cool, though, because you get to meet Butcher's wife and see him without the beard at the Christmas party. Mm-hmm. And his wife is played by the mother vampire in Twilight.
Oh.
Renesmee.
Okay.
Or Esme.
I don't know.
Yeah. She was also a reoccurring character in Grey's Anatomy as well. And you kind of also learn that Homelander's in the dark about some things.
Yeah.
That for once he's
Well, and
he's kind of like, wait, I'm not being
Homelander
told.
thinks this, he thinks he runs the show. And
Yeah.
so for him to not know something, that's a big deal.
Yeah, especially for a sociopath.
Right.
Like, oh, I'm not in control here.
Yeah.
And
I love the scene that he has with Vogelbaum. Vogelbaum is like a guy who, basically, he's like one of the original founders of Vought. This whole idea of infusing the babies with Compound V and turning them into superheroes. He was a part of that.
he's played by Falcone from Gotham.
Really, he did seem familiar.
Carmine Falcone from the series Gotham.
But I love that scene because we said earlier, like, there's a couple people who are not afraid of Homelander.
He's not.
He's one of them, and I would say Butcher's the other one.
Yeah.
But he didn't care. Like, he doesn't care to look at him and tell him what a schmuck he is, and
Yeah.
tell him, you're a disappointment, you're my
want
biggest
me to-
failure.
I felt bad. It's like, what do you want me?
And you could, like, the look on his face when he heard him say that destroyed him. Like, everyone thinks he's so great,
Yeah.
and now he's hearing somebody say,
Like-
you're trash, you're garbage.
Yeah, that's because everybody's afraid to tell him he's garbage. The way it kind of goes down, like he's like, I don't want your apology, old man. He's, no, you don't understand. I'm not giving you an apology. You were my biggest regret, my biggest failure.
And he could have just, like,
Killed him.
he could have melted him.
But
right
it's
there on the
almost like
spot.
it just emasculated him.
It
for a
did.
second.
That's
Just
that's a
oh
great
my
way to
God,
explain it.
just, how? I'm gonna go cry to mommy.
Yeah.
They have a
Speaking
weird.
very
Is she his mom?
No, because they had like they had a little encounter.
Yeah. I know
later
that,
on.
but they also have a weird.
They have a very weird relationship. I didn't get it. It made me uncomfortable.
Because-
but I think it's because he longed for that. He lacked that. He grew up in a lab or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's comforting to him.
She knows how to play it too.
Yes, she totally controls
my sweet
him.
boy, my
Yeah.
favorite boy. Have I not been showing you enough attention? Come here, sit down.
There was one moment, like in an earlier episode, she's holding, the baby, and he's so jealous of her baby.
Looks at it like he's like.
I can't remember what he says. He says something way over the line, and she looks at him, and she's like, "We need boundaries."
Yeah.
I'm like, what a great way to end an argument.
We need
We
boundaries.
need boundaries, and that was it. And she just turned around and walked off. It's like, if I tried to ever use that, I would get smacked. So
Oh yeah, yeah.
why don't you try it and tell me how it goes? Next time you get in trouble, you do that.
We need boundaries.
You tell me how it goes. You're going to be my guinea pig on that.
All right, I can do that. You know, it's like I said earlier, Deep deserved every bit of what he was getting. I didn't feel bad for him at 1 second, you know? I just didn't.
Was this episode the one when he tried to get the lobster from the grocery store?
Yeah.
He was gonna have a friend, and then they took him
the
out
lobster.
of the and they stabbed him right in the head and killed him.
Yeah, cracked it open.
Yeah.
And you're just like, because they're playing that, after that, he's when he shaves his head and all that.
Yeah, that's when he has his
2007 Britney
Britney Spears moment.
They're playing Everybody Hurts.
Oh yeah.
And Simon Pegg's pretty versatile. Like the bits that he's in this, I'm also thinking about like Shaun of the Dead Simon Pegg. Ready Player One Simon Pegg, Star Trek Simon Pegg. You know, he's a pretty versatile actor. I like Simon Pegg.
Me too.
But yeah, like I said, this one kind of flew through, just like, and not flew through like a lot of people say season 8 of Game of Thrones did. But just
Not flew through in a pacing way, but
Yeah.
flew through like there was a lot happening.
yes, and
Fast. That whole episode was like bam, 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 bam,
Yeah.
bam, bam. Lots
we're
going
getting
on.
close to the, and I think there's not really much to say on it.
No, I did say here though, we were talking about, Vogelbaum kind of standing up to Homelander and telling him what a jabroni he is. And I think he was the first and only person to call him John.
Yeah,
I think.
because even he's like, "Hello, John."
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, I can tell it's been a while since we've seen each other because nobody calls me John anymore.
Yeah.
He's like, I do.
Because he don't care.
Yeah.
Vogelbaum don't care. All right, the grand finale.
Episode 8.
You found me.
You found me.
I had that same thought. Stop. Get out of my head. The Pentagon classifies Compound V. The boys are fugitives, and Annie confronts her mother. Vought denies Deep's return to the Seven, causing him an emotional breakdown. Here he is. The Britney Spears moments in this one.
Yeah.
An injured A-Train, angry at being racially profiled while out of costume, rebounds to Compound 5, causing Nathan, his brother and coach and manager, to quit. Butcher takes Huey to Mallory, who refuses participation, but informs them about Stillwell and warns Huey about Butcher and his craving for vengeance. So we haven't talked about Mallory much, but Mallory was sort of the person who created the boys originally years ago.
Yeah.
She's sort of the one who got Butcher started on this path, and she got to the point where, because she's suffered losses too, her grandchildren were killed by lamplighter.
Yeah.
And
Incinerated.
finally she bows out, and Butcher, like she's saying, he's got that craving for vengeance. He's never going to let it go.
What was it? She says it's a slippery slope that leads you to a dead end.
Yeah.
Something. She says that to Huey.
And right, and that Butcher's not going to accept that.
Yeah.
You know, he like we said earlier, like if
Well,
you're
when
not
you
helping
have
him get his
vengeance on your
revenge,
mind, you
yeah.
don't listen. You're not going to accept it.
Huey promptly leaves Butcher to ask for Annie's help, but she refuses out of distrust. Later, Maeve opens up and asks Starlight to be herself again. Homelander privately confesses to Stillwell that he secretly made the super terrorist, and they have relations. At a black site, Huey, who smuggled in his old retainer, has Frenchie pick the lock so Milk can free Kimiko. Starlight rescues them, but A-Train soon arrives, so Huey and Starlight delay him until A-Train suffers a heart attack. Huey applies CPR, but Starlight takes over so he can escape. Butcher takes Stillwell hostage, strapped with explosives to bait Homelander. Homelander, after revealing he tortured Vogelbaum for the truth about Becca, kills Stillwell. Brutal death. Homelander saves Butcher from his suicide explosion and takes him to the home where Becca has been raising Homelander's son in secret, stunning both Butcher and Becca.
And credits right then.
Wow.
What a twist.
Yeah. Big surprise ending.
Why
And
does Homelander do that?
I think in Homelander's mind, he wins right there. Look, I've got a son. I've got this legacy here. I've got a family, everything I ever wanted. And you lose, Billy Butcher.
I brought you so you could see it.
And the fact that, he saved him, I think the
you can
fact
thank me later
Butcher knowing that Homelander saved him, that's got to drive him crazy.
from his mission.
Yeah.
Because he was like, even though Stillwell's dead, and that was his, his kryptonite play. He was going to kill Stillwell to hurt Homelander. Then Homelander kills Stillwell, and he's like, okay, so what was that plan of yours again? And Butcher's just like, forget it. And you think, wow, he blew... I was left with, what about the baby?
Dude, that's what I wrote down too, because...
Did Homelander save her baby too?
Yeah.
Or did he leave it there in the explosion? I bet he
hate
left
to say it, but I don't think that because he hated that baby.
Yeah.
Now, maybe he feels differently after he was able to let Stillwell go, because he knows she was not honest with him.
Mm-hmm.
So
She didn't love him.
maybe he let that go. And I'd like to think he saved the baby, but I just don't see it happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was my thought too. Anything
And
with kids, I'm like, hey,
being a Eric Kripke show, he had to bring in a supernatural character. Uncle Bobby is the Pentagon guy that Stillwell's talking to at the beginning.
oh,
That's Uncle. Just shut up. You don't
Okay.
care.
I'm sorry.
Supernatural
I
fans
lost
care.
that. I lost that character in season 39 of Supernatural.
Yeah.
Missed him somehow.
He's in season 1, but
Oh, well, then I saw him.
Exactly.
I just don't remember it.
I did like they gave us a moment between MM and Frenchie though, in the prison cell.
Mm-hmm.
Where they kind of somewhat, they bury the hatchet.
They love each other,
do.
really.
They somewhat bury the hatchet.
There's so much history. There's they keep saying, oh, the Mallory thing. Mallory and the tension between Frenchie and MM, and all the Lamplighter stuff and all this. I would love for there to be more not necessarily like a prequel, but like more flashbacks. I want to see more of the first, like the origin of the boys when they first started. That's what I want to see in season 2.
And it really is a brilliant twist.
Mm-hmm.
Very brilliant twist.
But what sucks is that now there's 2 Homelanders.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
However, where are we at with the 7? Going into season 2. Actually, before we get to this, Black Noir plays the piano very well.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't say a thing the entire show. Could you that's the character I want to play. No lines to remember.
Oh, that'd be great.
2 action sequences. Other than that, you're like the Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe. You just
And he's
look
like
at
the
people.
most intimidating character too,
Exactly.
out of all the 7.
You get to show off your piano skills.
Yeah.
That's the character I'd want to play, because they'd be like, so you don't speak. Oh, cool.
I like the
Cool,
irony
cool.
because it's like, Black Noir, he's so scary, he's intimidating and fierce and deadly. But he does yoga and he meditates and he
Plays the piano.
there was a little video package of him making some sort of tea or something.
He was making some sort
He
of tea.
plays the piano.
When in the clip with Seth Rogen's going, I really loved working with Black Noir. He's really easy to work with, and Black Noir just
Yeah.
nods.
It sits there.
Yeah. I agree without saying it. All right, so going into season 2, what do you hope to see?
Want to see it pick up right where it left off. Want to know what happened to A-Train.
Yeah.
Hopefully we find out what happened to Stillwell's baby.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always thinking about the kiddos. I want to see the fallout of Butcher and Rebecca being reunited.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd really like to see some flashback stuff of the early boys.
Yeah. I agree. Which I think we will. I'm a huge Kripke fan. I trust him. He'll get us taken care of. So this has been great, man.
Oh, yeah.
Loved the show. We'll watch it again. And next week, we're going to continue our journey into Middle Earth.
Yeah, we're going to complete our long walk to Mount Doom.
Our long walk.
And
toss this dadgum ring into this fiery pit.
And call it done.
And call it Dunsky. We will return next week with Nerd of the Rings 3, Return of the Nerd. So send in all of your Lord of the Rings, Return of the King questions. Or just questions about the Tolkien verse. We'll answer those as well.
It's a great time for you to rewatch Return of the King
absolutely.
yourself.
And I'm going to rewatch the extended. Well, this will be my first time watching the extended version. So we'll get that taken care of, and we'll, I guess we'll do it again later.
All right. We will catch you nerds later.
It means that lately, some of you have been a little out of sorts. Erratic, unreliable, downright sloppy. Not you, Noir. You've been great.
You've been listening to the 30 and Nerdy Podcast with your hosts, Tyler McDaniel and Josh Davis. Brought to you by Encore Theatrical Company, Akita Express, Creative Theater, and Advertising Expressions. Find us, follow us, and like us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Visit our website, 30andnerdypodcast.com. Got something to tell us? Drop us an email, 30andnerdypod@gmail.com. Until next time, cheers to you, nerds!